My grandma let me go through her old jewelry and look what I found. How cute.
Who's gonna tell her?
Welcome to The Wall. In today's video, we'll explore two shocking stories. First, we'll talk about a woman seeking advice on how to confess to her husband that she cheated on him and, even worse, that she gave him an STD. Then, we'll look at the case of a judge who finally delivers justice, freeing a man from having to continue paying child support to the mother of his children after discovering she was misusing the money. Make sure to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. We're aiming for 150,000 subscribers before the end of the year. A big thank you to those who support the project through super chats and share their experiences in the comments. That's what helps this community grow. Turn on notifications so you don't miss any videos. Let's get started.
You want to tell me a secret?
Okay, so I was out day drinking a couple months ago and hooked up with this guy. Ended up getting an STD. I went and got it cleared up, but I keep getting it back, which means I gave it to my husband, and now I have to tell him so he can get rid of it, so I can get rid of it.
Ooh, what STD was it?
Trichonomia.
You said chlamydia?
No, trichonomia.
Oh, chicken. Okay.
Trichinonia.
Okay.
I don't
Oh,
even know what that is. This is
It's
the first time I've ever even heard of it when I got it.
that's
Dr.
borderline.
Bezos here.
Yeah, that is not. It's Dr. Ice here. So I'm gonna tell you what you've been diagnosed with. You've been diagnosed with trichomania. That's borderline chlamydia. But you also been diagnosed with double dipping. You heard? But we
Double
not here to
dipping.
judge you though. Honestly, we're not here to judge you. You know what I'm saying? But how do you? Who do you feel in your heart you got it from? Like,
It had to be that day drinking guy.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was the day drinking guy.
Do you have that guy's number? Is there a way to contact him or no?
I don't have his number. I mean, if I see his face, I can recognize him, but it was really just a random on a bad day.
How are you going to tell your husband?
I don't know yet. I'm gonna tell him because like I keep coming back, so I have to tell him. I'm just gonna tell him that I got STD and that I need him to go get tested so that I can get rid of it.
damn!
Here we have a married woman confessing that, after a night of drinking, she ended up with a stranger, unprotected, contracted an STD, and now passed it on to her husband. But the worst part isn't the infidelity itself, it's how she's handling it. We're not here to judge, they say, but of course we are, because this wasn't an accident. It was a conscious choice. She doesn't even remember the guy, just his face, and now she plans to confess. Not out of remorse, but because she needs her husband to get treated so she can get rid of it. Brother, this is every man's worst fear. Doing nothing wrong and having your partner bring a disease into your home. The most outrageous part is her attitude, as if it were just a bad night. What would a good night look like, then? And the worst part is she doesn't even feel genuine remorse. She just wants to solve the problem because she couldn't hide it anymore. Brother, the world's upside down when someone can justify this level of irresponsibility and betrayal. If it had been something incurable, would she confess then too? This isn't just infidelity. It's an act of negligence that puts her partner's life at risk. Let's continue.
Maybe you should tell him it was dormant and then.
You gotta tell him though.
That's what I was thinking because that's what they said. They were like, you could have had it for a long time. I mean, I've only been married for a year and a half, but that's a long time for something to be dormant. So I don't know
Oh,
how
okay. I
long
just
it
did
was.
some research for you, right? How can you get trichomoniasis, whatever, if no one cheats? And it says that you can actually get it through extensive literature. It shows that you can actually get it through towels and toilet seats and from swimming pools.
Even still, if I'm being honest with myself, I gotta know where it came from. So
And you need to let him know because as a man, he ain't going for the toilet seat. I got it from the toilet seat bag. Like he ain't having it.
He's definitely not going to believe you if you
So,
try to say that.
I don't believe it. So I already know.
Maybe you should set somebody up to cheat with him And then
Absolutely not. He's so sweet. I'm telling you, he wouldn't even go for it.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Hey, no, look, before you leave though, one last thing. Another way you can get that is like having sex without showering. Like say you know you and your husband,
Oh,
y'all
okay.
gotta shower before y'all have sex. You can get trichomoniasis that way. So maybe you should just tell them like, baby, honestly, I think from here on out, we both need to just shower before we have sex, you know, because I got trichomoniasis and I believe you have it too. So now we need to take this medicine. There you go. Wham.
I don't trust
Wham, because I'm
Bezo.
gonna use that. I'm gonna slide it right in there. Believe me.
No! God, please, no! 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 No!
This is the problem with the world today. Someone messes up, and instead of taking responsibility, they find excuses to blame others. This woman, instead of owning up to what she did, is considering how to trick her husband into thinking he's the one responsible for the disease. And to top it off, she has someone suggesting strategies to cover up her irresponsibility, as if her husband were the problem and not her. How low can someone go? Imagine this scenario. You've been married for just a year and a half, and you're already dealing with your first infidelity, complete with an STD as a bonus. I don't see how any relationship can survive something like that. This man doesn't need medicine. He needs a divorce to heal his entire life. A woman who doesn't even protect herself with a stranger, whose name she doesn't even remember, and now has the nerve to look for ways to blame her husband. Brother, this isn't just a bad night. It's a sign that this woman is a walking disaster. If she doesn't take responsibility now, she'll keep causing harm in the future. Remember, brother, if the frog comes from the streets, no matter how much you kiss it, it won't turn into a princess.
As part of the child support order, Dad was ordered to pay a portion of the work-related child care expenses as child support. As a matter of fact, the work-related child care expenses were a little over $800 a month. He had to pay about 500 of that 800. Well, here was the problem. The person giving that child care was the maternal grandmother, his ex-mother-in-law. Here's what happened. When the kids get out of school, the grandmother goes and picks both kids up, one from nursery school or kindergarten, the other one from first or second grade, and brings them home, and they stay with the grandmother the rest of the day. Well, grandmother charges mom $200 a week to keep the kids. Dad has to pay his portion of that. The $200 a week comes to almost $800 a month. Dad's paying 500 of that to mom as extra child support. Then mom cuts the check to the grandmother for $200. Well, guess what? At the end of the month, the grandmother gives the mother about $800 in cash. In other words, she reimburses or gives back that money that the mother paid for childcare to the mom to help her out as a gift. Well, the result of that was that mom really didn't have any childcare expenses, but dad was paying his share of what would be those childcare expenses. Well, dad found out about it. You know, kids have a way of talking, and apparently the older kid heard the grandmother and the mother talking about it and said something to dad, and that kind of clued dad into the fact that this is what was going on. So dad went back to court, took mom back, called the grandmother as a witness, and the grandmother, being the nice lady she is, was not going to lie. She told the truth. Yes, the daughter was giving her $200 a month for child, or a week rather, for child support, and yes, she was giving it back to mom at the end of the month to help mom out. Well, the judge was none too happy about that. You know, there was nothing they could do about it retroactively, but going forward, dad didn't have to pay that extra $500 for childcare.
Typical. A single mother trying to squeeze more money out of the father, and then they dare to say men aren't responsible. The irony is that if the roles were reversed, the man would be forced to pay back every cent. But of course, because it's a man, it's hard for anyone to see him as the victim, right? In this case, at least the judge had a moment of clarity and lifted that extra burden off the father. It's sad that for a man to get a shred of justice, he has to rely on a judge to step in and prevent him from being scammed. And the worst part is the scheme. The mother pays the grandmother to take care of the kids, and at the end of the month, the grandmother gives all the money back to her in cash as a gift. The level of greed is astounding. I'm not saying all single mothers are like this, but the reputation of taking advantage doesn't help their case. What do you think? Did the judge do the right thing?
This is a PSA for the men that are getting traditional wifey treatment. to be extremely thankful for them this holiday season, because they are like finding a needle in the haystack. Those women that are cooking you dinners, doing your laundry, cleaning the house, doing the grocery shopping, they're intimate with you, but they also give you time to yourself to do your guy stuff, watch sports, know when to give you some space. It's so rare nowadays. And for those men that have those wives, show her appreciation, not just because it's a holiday week, but because you truly appreciate all she does for you. You don't realize how good you have it until you don't anymore. So for those that do still have that traditional wifey and are getting that treatment, ask your single friends. They know it's rare. Or the ones that are in those miserable relationships, they know it's rare. Thank those wives. Appreciate those wives. Let them know they're seen, heard.
Oh my God! Wow!
A man who has a wife like this, someone who cooks, cleans, is intimate with you, and also respects your space, should treasure her as the rare gem she is. These days, finding a woman with that traditional mindset is like searching for a needle in a haystack. But in the same way, a wife should value a man who can support a household on a single income, works hard to provide stability, buys a home, and takes on the enormous responsibility of being the provider. This isn't a competition about who contributes more. It's a team effort. If both partners understand that the success of their marriage depends on what each brings to the table, then they have something truly valuable. Brothers, if you have a relationship where you and your partner support each other mutually, don't take it for granted. In today's world, relationships like these are so rare they should be on the endangered species list. Appreciate what you have, because outside of that team, the landscape is a desert.
So I just got home from dinner, and I have been trying to decide if I even wanted to talk about this at all because it's horrible, but this past week an Amber Alert revealed that my boyfriend of a year and a half has been cheating on me. The boyfriend that I was building a life with, picking out rings and shutter colors with. So an Amber Alert went off on my phone. My boyfriend was out at a beer with the boys before immediately going to the airport. He had been acting super strange. So when this Amber Alert goes off, I go in the bedroom. I immediately smell cologne. Weird to put cologne on to go out for beers with the boys. So I see the Amber Alert is going off on the watch. I go to silence it. I've already tried to call him twice. No answer. Earlier that morning, I had sniffed my pillow because I just felt like something was off. He called me crazy. He said I was a psycho. I looked around the room. I felt like things had been moved. I felt like my sink, all my stuff under the sink had been moved. Called me absolutely crazy. So I pick up his Apple Watch. I silence the notification, and I immediately get an "I miss you already" text. It is the girl that he has been in a full-on relationship for the past 2 weeks. Like, "Good morning, beautiful. I miss you. I'm in it for the long haul, blah, blah, blah," text. All the while, he's laying his beautiful little head beside me every night, still planning our lives. So this is a full-on dual relationship, like dual life, mastermind, next level amount of deception type of shit. So when I get that text, I obviously scroll through all the texts, and everything comes out. Not only is it her, it's other women too. But she's obviously getting the crux of it. She's getting the copy and paste of the love bombing that I got last year. So granted, my entire life has flashed before my eyes, and every gut instinct I've ever had has just been like put in blinding lights. So yeah, that was my week. And moral of the story, there's so much of the story. I should probably do a part 2. Part of me doesn't want to do part 2 because I feel like, oh, like who needs to hear about this? But at the same time, this is crazy. Like, normal people do not do this to other humans, specifically ones they say I love you to, but like to anyone, because it's so cruel and disgusting and like quite literally puts people at risk, not only emotionally but physically, to engage in this kind of behavior. It goes against everything that they say that they stand for. But I also just feel like a full-on 10 minutes on this is cringe. So like, My moral of the story is, if I would not have gotten that Amber Alert, if he would not have gotten the Amber Alert, I would have never known this. I probably would have married this man with him acting this way and being capable of this type of behavior once I was pregnant, once I had kids, like for the rest of my life. And so legitimately, I feel like an Amber Alert just saved my life. I know that they're used for much more serious situations, but for me, like that Amber Alert just changed the course of my life. Y'all want a part 2?
Stop it. Get some help.
Amber now takes your place while you watch your world crumble, and she builds hers with that man. I'm not excusing the guy. She should clearly leave him, but let's talk about male psychology here. Women often ask how a man can say, "I love you," and still be unfaithful. It's simple. Men don't view intimacy the same way women do. For them, it can be just fun, something with no emotional ties. The other woman means nothing. The one at home is the one he truly wants to build a life with. It's not right, but that's the difference. Plus, these women who put their entire lives on the internet often end up alone. Men get tired of their whole relationship being on social media, and on top of that, there are always other women trying to take the man from the so-called relationship expert. It's an ironic cycle. They start with big stories and apparent relationships, but they always end up in the same place, single and giving advice. And even though this story could be staged content, if it's real, I hope they release that promised second part because, brothers, we can't be left hanging with only half the gossip. We've reached the end of the video, but before we go, here are some questions for you. What do you think about the woman who gave her husband a disease? Do you have a traditional wife? How do you value her? If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. Your support means the world to us and motivates us to create more content. Stay tuned for the next exciting video from The Wall.